It finally happened. I blew up. Today I lost $1,170.33 in one day. I think I'm going to quit. I'm stopping the recaps, stopping the live streams, which I stopped at the end of the year. And this will be the last video. You fucking guys. I'm just fucking with you. We did lose over $1,100, almost $1,200 today. Technically realized today. But these were 3 swings that I had from last week that just so happened to all close out on the exact same day. So that's why we lost so much money. I'm not quitting. I did not blow up. And these are just 3 trades in a row that lost. So let's get into the recap. And I'll talk about the kind of the thought process and how we're kind of feeling going into the year, which so far is not off to the great starts. We're down actually over $1,300 because I've lost 4 trades in a row so far to start the year, which is a possibility. One of the trades should not have been taken, but we'll get into that. That's kind of a, I don't want to say a normal run-of-the-mill mistake, but like it's a mistake. So we had, I'm going to recap all these in one because they closed the same day. I just figured they're, 2 of them are pretty much the same thing, and then 1 was a mistake. So we'll talk about the mistake at the end, I guess. So we'll talk about the first 2, and then we'll go, or I guess the 2 that were not mistakes that were just lost, and then the other one was a mistake. So reason why you're looking at the screen and you're saying, well, there's a lot of trades here. Well, if you look at them, they're copied. So really there was 3 trades here that we're talking about. One I just entered as a new one. That one will probably not be getting out of for a while, so we'll leave that one alone. But these ones right here we're looking at. So I guess I should frame this situation with the context of everything. So if I jump back to SPY and take a peek at what was going on here, these trades I took or I entered last week. So I'm filming this video on a Monday, the 13th of January. I entered these, I think, on Monday and Tuesday of last week. And if not, maybe even the Friday before that, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe. I guess I can go back and find out. But either way, about a week ago, we entered these trades, not all in the same day. But the idea behind them was, so if we go back to SPY and take a look at this, you know, it's a game of probabilities. I was thinking about this today. I was like, it's a game of probabilities. And what I find to be, or what I found over the past, 18 months has been really good time for my trades is when we are in a bigger picture trend, which has been to the upside, right? We have a pullback inside of that trend, and then we start to kind of reverse. So it's usually going to be in like one of these situations right in here that I get good entries. Because what I'm looking for in these situations is relative strength. So what I want to see is a stock pushing up and breaking a level, or breaking out to the upside, while the S&P has yet to push a new all-time high, or yet to push a new, higher high in the relative, trend we're looking at, or I guess it's the flip side on the opposite when we're going down. So I'm looking for that relative strength inside when we're seeing kind of like the S&P was weak and now it's starting to kind of reverse. I have no fucking idea, like literally no idea, just as anybody else, if we are going to kind of on this bounce go back to highs. No idea. But probability-wise, I have a better chance when I'm looking at a relatively strong stock in a situation where the market's starting to kind of bounce back a little bit off of its recent relative low. That has provided me some of the biggest trades of the past 18 months. And so I'm just going off the stats and going off the data. It's when I have better probabilities. Now, again, it's probabilities. Does that mean it has to work? No, absolutely not. Doesn't have to work. So in this case, it did not. So we were looking at entries, and the entries occurred back in this time frame, really on this day, or as we started to make this push. And I had no idea we were going to make a lower high, but we ended up making a lower high. We rolled back over and then fell off to the downside. Did I know that? No idea. I have no idea. But I'm going to trade based off the entries I see. So you can make this and say, well, okay, I don't understand what you're saying, because if that's the case, then SPY was still in a lower high. SPY is great, but I don't necessarily care about SPY because I'm looking at the other charts. So first one was RL. This is a beautiful chart. Exactly what I'm looking for. These were taken on the weekly time frame, by the way. So here's the weekly time frame. Strength absolutely strength trending, clear area of resistance, clear breakout point. We broke that point. It just so happened that we closed so weak that last week. Could have exited last week if I really wanted to. I was not able to. I'll talk about why in a second. But technically speaking, still within the trend of the upside, it could be, fine, but it just didn't work. So here's the daily time frame. So you got the nice breakout candle day. Great. We're entering and looking for a push up towards 254. We get to 246, and then it kind of rolls over. Market falls off a cliff. Not really off a cliff, but the market falls off, and not surprising that failed. So just didn't work. RBLX was the other one. Same kind of idea. This is on the weekly time frame. Jump out to the weekly time frame. We had a bigger move up. Consolidation phase right here. Clear area of resistance was this area right here, 6160s. We had a better looking chart, to be honest, and even this is overall looking much better, but stop loss under breaking candle low, which we just nipped so far today. Another piece to this puzzle too was that on both of these, I had set stops. So if I go to RBLX, this was fine. It hit my stop when it was supposed to hit my stop because we opened up today here above the stop, and then we eventually hit it. RL, this one, I think I lost more money than I was intending because we opened up, right? So we opened the day pretty much at my stop loss, but because of the spread, so we opened the day on RL at 234. Let's call it 234, okay, to make it easier. Where did I get filled on the RL exit? So I got filled on the execution at 232.01. So $2 full lower than where my stop loss was where I got filled, which is like right around here. So I ended up losing this extra piece. Not a big deal, right? But I ended up losing this extra piece inside of like this trade when I really, in a perfect world, would not have or should not have. Why was that the case? Before I get into the bigger mistake, why was that the case? So I enter these trades Wednesday. I head out. I leave. I drive down to meet my friend in Florida, and then we drove down from there to Miami. We went to the Orange Bowl, Penn State, Notre Dame on Thursday night. Market was closed Thursday, so okay, that's okay, whatever. And then Friday, I'm driving back. So we drove back to his place, then I drove back from there. So I drove like 12 hours on Friday, pretty much. Did not have access to my computer. Well, I mean, I technically had it, but like I didn't pull over him. I could have, I really, really wanted to, but I was like, I'm not thinking like that, to be honest with you guys. I don't care that much. Like it's not that big a deal. I set my stops. I trust my stops, and that's it. None of the stops hit on Friday, but we got close. So this one, not a big deal, but there's always my thought is on these, there's always the overnight gap down risk where, especially over a weekend, like you don't know, anything can happen over the weekend. We can have a big gap down, and then now we could open up below my stop losses, and then I could lose more money on the trade. And that's kind of what happened on this one, and also on the other one. This one more so a product of the spread, so product of getting kind of screwed by the spread, which is not a problem I would have if I wasn't using this prop firm. Still would have lost on this trade, but I wouldn't have lost as much. Part of the, like, the positives, negatives when you use a prop firm, right? Okay. The next trade was NVDA. This is the mistake. So check this. This one's a fucking mess, man. Honestly, looking back, this was not a FOMO. I'll talk about what I was getting into or my thought process here. I just wrote this down a few minutes ago, so you can kind of see what my head was at on this one. So this one should not have taken it. I wrote down, should not have taken this trade in the first place. Little FOMO at the time, so pretty much tricked myself into thinking this was to the system, but looking back, it was not. Okay? So what I mean by that is starting things off on this trade, it kind of was like a double whammy. Like you kind of do something wrong that I shouldn't have done, and then I proceeded to kind of compound the mistake in a way. Not like I fucking blew up. Like, no, it was I lost a little more than I should have. I also shouldn't have taken the trade, right? So, you can say, oh, wait, you shouldn't have lost at all around this trade. Yeah, true. But I'm looking at this daily time frame, and I'm like, okay, whatever. This doesn't look that cool. I look at the weekly, and I go, okay. So I'm looking at this, and you guys, like, based off what I've made these recaps on, you kind of can see the strategy pretty straightforward. I have a clean setup, a clean break, horizontal break for the most part. I'm not opposed to playing trend breaks, but I mostly have been playing horizontal breaks over the past year and a half, and that's what I got the data on. I stick to that. So I go and I say, well, we kind of have, a little bit of something going on here. Like I kind of draw this in and I say, I guess you can draw kind of like this. I draw this and I go, well, we kind of have a bull flag setting up based off this. But like you look at this chart and I go, there's wicks, it's not super clean. Like I don't know. Like, it's not as simple as that. As simple as saying it's not clean is fine. Like, that's absolutely a reason to not take the trade. It's not clean, and only I can judge if it's clean based off my experience trading the strategy for the past 18 months. Like, I have hundreds of trades here. I know it's clean. I know it's not clean. And I know when I don't trade clean setups, we tend to lose more often than we don't. So it's like, why would you, like, just with that logic, why would you take this in the first place? Right? But sometimes that's just what your head, you get into that FOMO. And at the time, I thought, okay, yes, it's kind of not that clean, but I looked past that and said, no, it is fine because we have a really strong breakout on this weekly. Let's get in on this break. I figured we'd break this high, which we technically did, I believe, on a very, 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 very brief period of time. And then I said, okay, we've got momentum. This sector, semis, was looking super strong at this time, was looking super strong. So I'm like, if we're going to go back to highs on the market, semis are looking really strong. They're going to probably lead the way as they have been. Let's ride with the strength. And it was, at the time, they had relative strength. Prior to Tuesday the 7th, there was really good relative strength on NVDA at semis in general. Then we had this massive, like, I don't even know what you want to say. Like, what is that called? Like, it just getting fucked. Like, that's like, that candle just says, nope, we ain't going up. Get fucked. That's literally what it said. Bulls, sorry, you're going to get rocked. That's what this candle said. So looking back, now I had played this based on a bigger time frame. So I'm like, okay, fine. We didn't hit the stop. We're still in. And yeah, true. But I could have said to myself, that is absolutely not what I want to see. At this point in time, I could have, and looking back, should have said, wait a second, why did we take this trade in the first place? Was it there? Not really. Let's exit. At the same time, you can make arguments. You had a breakout here. Like, yeah, I see kind of where I was thinking, but at the same time, like, we don't we can be more selective, and I've been more selective over the past couple of months. I can still be more selective. I don't have to take that, and absolutely, looking back, it kind of explains to me why. Secondarily, where we compound the issue was, here's my stop loss, right? Where did we open up today? We gapped down, my friends. So I end up losing, my stop loss is at 134, roughly. I end up losing an additional $4 on this exit from where I was planning to exit. I lose $4 more. Now, in the grand scheme, not that much money, right? Didn't crush me because I had a huge, the trade was a big, on a bigger time frame. So $4, not a huge deal on a bigger time frame, but still, that was an additional loss that I did not have to take on. So this is one of those things where Friday afternoon, because we were very close to my stop loss but did not hit my stop loss, could have said, let's exit this trade. We lost. Let's not have this loss make us lose more money with a risk of an overnight gap down that we can't control. And that's exactly what happened. Now, my ass was driving through freaking an ice storm at the time. So was I thinking that? No. I'll be honest. I was driving up through Georgia. At the time on Friday, there was so once you got past Macon, between Macon, Georgia and Atlanta, it was cool because I went from Florida. I started the day in Miami. And then by the time I got to Macon, Georgia, it was I don't know, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then once we got past there, you started seeing the ice on the trees. And then the roads were wet the entire time until you got to bridges and overpasses back up in Atlanta. I didn't get to Atlanta until 7 o'clock at night. So the sun had set and the refreeze potential was certainly there, but the bulk of the freezing rain was gone. But it was kind of cool. But yeah, so okay, go back to that. How does that relate? I mean, dude, I'm driving through what potentially could be, a pretty dangerous situation. So I'm not thinking about my fucking trades. I'm not. I'm thinking about, let's make sure we get home safely here. Let's not crash. Let's not spin out on the side of the road. Let's get home, and then we can figure, that's just kind of the way I was thinking. It was my stop loss is there. If we hit it, we hit it. I honestly thought that we would hit it on Friday. I thought for sure, and then I checked it. I'm like, oh, we're still in. Whatever. What are you going to do? If we gap down, we gap down. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. So a lot. I just covered a lot of shit in there, but technically speaking, this is the biggest red day that I think I've had in the past year plus. And it looks horrible, but at the same time, it's not one trade. It was all swings that I took a week ago. You can kind of average it out. It's not This is not this could easily have happened on the long side. 2 trades should have been there. One probably shouldn't have been. Could have saved me like $450 if I didn't take the NVIDIA trade. Okay, cool. Is what it is. Move on to the next one. This is the same, like it's the same exact thing though. Like think about this, right? Because just to kind of frame it. So this was kind of inevitable. Like at some point you're going to get it. It's going to happen. But if it was 4 wins in a row or 3 wins in a row to start the year, you know what I mean? Where could we be? Could be up 2K. Like, so it's like, you're just looking at a snapshot in time when like the bigger picture is like a lot more trades, like a lot bigger sample size. That's what it is. Now, is it the best way to start the year? No. Looking back, like I said before, how you don't know. You can look at this and say a couple of things like, oh, well, you're a dumbass. The market's weak. Clearly, yeah. Well, at the time of taking these trades, right, we were kind of doing the exact same thing that we had been doing over the past couple of months that has panned out to work very, very well for me. I know it's not always going to work, but if more often than not it does, why wouldn't I take the setups? So the 2 setups that were there, why wouldn't I take them? There was absolutely no reason to not take them. They had relative strength. They were breaking out. Absolutely perfect. Like that's what I want to see. It just so happened the market rolled over. We went lower. They didn't work. That's going to happen. Like I don't know when. I can't tell you when it's going to happen. It's a probability game. So that's the deal. That's how we start off the year with a couple trades. When I have more to recap, I will recap them. Sometimes I'll do these. Like if I have a bunch that all kind of fit the same kind of general concept, I'll make a recap of them all together and that kind of fit for today. And also maybe it's clickbait to say, oh, I lost so much more money than I did, or then it really sound like I make it sound worse, right, than it really is, as you can kind of see. But that's what the whole point of that's the whole point of talking through this stuff, because you kind of see the thought process, how I think about things. Maybe that's good. Maybe it's bad. Maybe you like it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you take something away. Maybe you look at me and said, this guy's a fucking dumbass and I'm going to do this because I think this is better. Then that's exactly the point of this stuff. It's also for me to look back on and say, hey, how was I thinking back when I was doing this? So it's good to kind of see. Same time, right, we've kind of scaled up a little bit. So we're kind of marginally higher size or larger size than we've been trading with most of last year. So, you win a couple in a row, we're going to make a lot more, right? So the numbers will start to, we're kind of I'm in a spot now where like it's going to kind of stay steady for a bit, but the numbers will kind of make more sense. The more data, the more trades we have some winners, have some losers, and we can kind of balance things out. And we'll see, are we doing stuff that's working or not? That's kind of the whole thing. So I'll leave TradeZella where I recap everything down below. And there's a code, I think TC10, that will save you 10%. Use it if you are going to pay for them, because it's kind of expensive if you pay for them straight up without the code like I do. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.